My name is Keri Barnum. I'm the marketing director for New Shelves Books. I'm filling in for Amy today. She's away at a conference. Little Miss Traveler there is getting around. So I'm filling in. I'm so excited to be here, and we're going to answer some of your book marketing and publishing questions. Again, if you do have any type of question, put it in the chat box, put it in the Q&A box, and I'd be happy to answer. We've got about a half hour, so let's jump in. The first question is from Sonia. She's running a $1.99 promo since going wide, and she's asking if she needs to change the price on all retailers on Draft to Digital in addition to Kindle. Here's the thing, you don't have to, Sonia, but if you're going to be promoting your book, a lot of places like it if your book is available for that discount price on all platforms. So if you're doing newsletters, if you're advertising on, let's say, Facebook, not everyone uses Kindle. A lot of people use Kindle, especially in the US, but a lot of people don't. Some people use Nook, some people use iBooks. So it's nice to have all the options, especially if it's a limited time promo. I would recommend dropping down to $1.99 on Draft to Digital. But when you're doing it, one thing you need to remember is that you don't need to drop down your library pricing. Your library pricing, whatever it is, will stay the same. You do want to drop down your price for Nook, Kobo, iBooks. And when you're doing that, you can also, Drafted Digital has this really nice feature where you can do a promo and you literally put in the price and you put in your dates and they automatically put your price back up when your promo is done. So that's a really nice, easy way to set it and forget it kind of. So you're not afraid that you're going to forget to put your price back up when you're done. All right. And how do I price my print on demand book? How much profit should I plan for per book? That's a loaded question. Right here, it's important to note that you are looking to price your book within the market. So it's important to do some market research and see what books like yours are selling for. Not just books like yours, but books like yours that are current and that are selling, because we don't want to find comps that aren't selling. They're not selling for a reason. When you're looking at it, you want to make sure that you're looking at the size of your book. Is it hardback or paperback? Is it color or black and white? Really, a lot goes into it. But when you're looking at pricing, when you're selling direct from KDP to Amazon customers, I would expect to see royalties anywhere around the $3 to $5 range, depending on your book. That's pretty standard. However, when you're selling to wholesalers, if you're selling to bookstores and libraries through Ingram Spark, again, if you're selling to bookstores, you need to have a 55% discount set there. And when you do that, your royalty goes way down. I'm sorry, but it does. And you would expect to earn anywhere around $1. That's actually the target. That's what even the big publishing houses make per book, is about $1, especially if you're doing print on demand. If you're doing offset printing, obviously you're buying a huge pallet of books. You're buying 5,000 books and having to store them and then have them distributed out. And so you're paying for all of that, but your book cost is so much lower with print that you can make more money. However, again, you've got 5,000 of them and you may end up with, 4,322 in your garage. Print on demand is definitely less a risk, but in exchange, you do earn a little bit smaller of a commission or a royalty. And if you want to tell me more about your book, I would love to know about that. Is it a children's book, adult's book, that kind of thing? All right. Hi, Levita. It's nice to see you today. Levita is asking, if you're publishing a journal and the book cover is not fantasy but plain, do you still need to get a book cover before the book comes out? Um, so I just want to make sure I'm understanding your question. Is it like a journal that people write in that you're creating, or is it like a journal, like a magazine? Okay, so it's one that you have created. Um, I would say you still need a book cover, in the sense that even if your book cover is going to be plain, if your book cover is going to be all black and nicely done, you still, if you're uploading the book, you have to have a cover in the correct dimensions. Um, However, if you're doing that and you're doing a plain journal, I'm sure there's a market for it, but I'd research really heavily first before you spend too much time and energy in a plain journal. I'm having a little bit of a hard time maybe picturing what you're doing. So if you want to tell me a little bit more about it, I'd be very interested in your project. All right, and we do have a question that came all the way from Scotland today. So let me pull that up on my email. This one comes from Greta in Scotland. Greta has a children's book, and she's an author. Actually, she's got 4 picture books. I'm sorry. And she is wondering what she can do to promote herself when she's visiting the States this December. She'll be in New York City, and she's wondering if she can do anything to read, sell, and promote her books. Greta, this is a really fun question, and I love that you're thinking ahead to your travels. And in fact, guys, if you are random sidebar, if you are an author and you are traveling, a great way to use your tax write-offs wisely is to go ahead and do some writing work while you're there. Do a book meet and greet, a signing, anything like that is a really great way to wisely get some tax write-offs there. I would say though, Greta, that if you are here in New York City in December, December's really hard. Bookstores are swamped. They generally don't want to hear from anybody that wasn't planned months and months and months in advance in November and December. Those are their busy seasons. So that may be a little bit hard. However, libraries might be a good option for you. Libraries often have children's programs that are running throughout December since kids tend to be out of school. And it's a great way to get exposure. Some of them do have policies where you can't sell books on premises, but you can certainly send people to your website or Amazon, and doing readings is a great way to share your work. I would highly encourage that. I think that's a fun way to reach out. It's September now. Most libraries do book ahead a couple months in advance. So if you want to do it, I think I would be looking up libraries in New York City right now, looking up their children's librarians, and either calling or emailing and seeing what could possibly be set up. I think that's a great idea, and I love that go get 'em attitude. Okay, Terry is asking, I've seen many people putting their book on pre-sale for months. Um, can you put only your book cover on KDP while finishing the book with an editor and set your release date and finalize your text to connect with your cover? Or does the full book need to be out on Amazon before the pre-release date? Terry, that's not a dumb question at all, because a lot of people do put their book on pre-sale months and months and months ahead of time, and you're wondering, really, are they done? No, most of the time they're not. If it's a big publishing house, sometimes the book is done way in advance because they're sending out for reviews. But a lot of people will put a book up on Amazon for pre-sale, and all they're using is the front cover, especially if it's an ebook. They're uploading a cover or a working cover, and then Amazon doesn't know what files you're using. You can use dummy files, you can use ARC files. You put them in, and then you just have to make sure to change them out before your book goes live. I don't recommend that though, and I'm going to tell you why. At least for right now, the way that Amazon is doing pre-sales is that if your book goes up for pre-sale and there's not a lot of activity, its algorithms are saying your book's not interesting. People don't want it, push it to the bottom. And so your book kind of just lays there. And then when you do launch officially, unless you've got like 8,000 pre-orders, it stays at the bottom. You've already gotten the limelight that you're going to get from Amazon. So it's not like it used to be. It used to be where you would put your book up on Amazon and you would work for your pre-order. So on your release day, they all hit, you got a big splash, you hit bestseller list. Amazon caught on and they didn't like that. And so they changed their policies. Because not only does the algorithm say that your book's not really worth being on the top, but they also count your sales immediately. So your sales do not hit all at once when your book goes live. Again, it's an option if you are doing something, you want to put your book up for pre-sale a week ahead of time, or you have a big blog tour, you have a reason for it. just use it strategically, but it's not something we're recommending to everybody anymore. I hope that covers your question. All right. And so Lewis is saying it's an 8 by 10 hardback children's book, 32 pages of photos. She looked at similar books when setting the price and using Ingram selling on Amazon. You're making about 80 cents per book. That sounds right on. Children's books, print on demand. If you were doing color, especially, I would expect about 80 cents on Ingram Spark, especially if you have your discount set. If you are selling direct on Amazon, I would expect to see at least $2 a book. Because when you're selling direct to Amazon, you don't have the go between, you're getting more of a royalty. I'd be very curious. I think I've seen books in the 8 by 10 hardback, 32 pages if they're color. I mostly see them around the $16.99 range. But again, it depends on your content sometimes even and what's popular and what's selling right now. And Denise, speaking of tax write-offs, do you have a list of what could be considered as write-offs? I am not a CPA. You cannot take my little musings here and go off and say, well, IRS, I'm sorry that I got flagged, but Keri at New Shelves said I could. But generally, go to your CPA, travel expenses, writing expenses. A lot of things can be done if you're going to seminars, if you're going to writing conferences, your travel and things can often be written off. But definitely go to your CPA. If you are if you're actually writing and you are especially making a profit, go ahead and look into it. There are so many resources actually right on the IRS website. They have a list of things that you can write off. And I mean, be smart about it. If you are doing this, if you're making money at it, use those write-offs because it's a great way to maximize your profits and also free up more money, or just take the opportunity to go to writing conferences, to go and learn new things about marketing and being an author and all of those things. I had the privilege of going to the IBPA conference in Chicago this year, and it was amazing. It was so much fun and so much energy, and you learn an amazing amount. So, highly recommended. Okay, Sonia is saying that her book is almost a year old. Is it too late to do a blog tour? No, I don't think so. I think a year is a good amount to where you've probably got some reviews and you'll have some interest. I would say blog tour in the first year is good. If you're going to do it, I'd start soon. There are so many blog tour companies that are amazing depending on what your book is, what your genre is. So we've used YA blog tours, we've used espresso book tours, and then we've got a whole list that we've used. And they're really amazing just to get your SEO up, to get the word out about your book. So I'd highly recommend it. And they're not that expensive, not at all. Some of them can get pricey. Some of them will get up into like $1,000, but a lot of them can be as cheap as $75, $100, depending on how many blogs you're shooting for. Highly recommend that you look into them. It's a great, great way to easily share your content and get the word out about your book. Look at that, Lois. Her book is priced at full color and it's $16.95. So I would say you are right on target in the market for what I've seen lately. I think that you're probably doing great. And I mean, the big question is your book selling? If your book's not selling, that's when we start to evaluate the price. We start to evaluate the marketing copy. But $16.95 sounds about right on for me. Okay, so you've got a divorce self-help relationship book. I would say this, as we're going into if you're going to do a blog tour, do it soon. I would not recommend doing a blog tour with the book on divorce and relationship right around Christmas time. People don't want to think about that. They want warm and fuzzies. So I would definitely recommend that you either hit them in September or October, or you wait until you're more into January or February. Just because of what it is, I think that people's interest will shift elsewhere. They're looking at Hallmark movies and deals on Christmas shopping at that time. All right. Oops. I'm trying to get into my chat just to make sure I don't have any questions there. Oop, and I'm struggling. All right, Levita's got a question. I will check that as soon as I check the chat here. There we go. Okay, Levita, I have an LLC for my publishing business. Now I have a website. Can I promote the LLC as the website with its branding, but list myself as one of its authors sharing my profile? Then I can publish my children's book under a different name for my poetry. This way I'll not have more than one website. That's a great question. What we often do and encourage our authors to do is to go ahead and have one website, but have a linked URL that is just your publishing or your LLC, or you can do it the opposite way that you're speaking of, where you go and you make your whole website for your LLC and promote yourself as one of the authors. However, if you are the only author under your LLC, it's going to look shady. So, depending on how you're set up, if you are publishing 5 authors, absolutely, I think that's a great way to do it. If you are the only author, I would recommend that you have your website as your own and then have a tab or a sidebar that is about your LLC and about your publishing company. Um, a back end page maybe that gets connected through. And I do think you might have to host a second web page, but it can be super basic for your LLC and your publishing information. My 2 cents there. Linda, a blog tour is where you sign up and you work with a blog tour organizer or you do it yourself, I guess, where you sign up for a bunch of different blogs where they will promote, review, or share your book. And so if you sign up, let's say for a blog tour that has 20 guest posts, maybe 5 of them are reviews of your book, 5 of them are just excerpts of your book, 5 of them are simply information about your book. They're posting your book cover and your synopsis and your buy links. That's it. Um, and then some of them can maybe be interviews, and they'll send you written interview questions and you answer them. Who was your inspiration as a child for writing? What's your favorite drink? And if you could have a drink with any author, or dead or alive, who would it be? And sometimes it's questions about the actual book, your writing process, all sorts of things. It's a really fun thing to do. And definitely, if you have a new book, it's a good way to get the word out there. All right, one more email question. Whoop. Okay. Yes. So the email question that came in today was, if you have your book priced on Amazon for $1.99, what should the book be priced everywhere else? And here's the thing. Most people, most websites and book retailers have some type of term of agreement where you agree that your book will not be priced cheaper anywhere else. That doesn't mean that place cannot be on sale. I could have my book for $7.99 on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and then Walmart runs a sale for $5.95. I can't control that, but the retail price has to be the same across the board. I've seen people from time to time uh, set up Amazon at $7.99, and then on Ingram Spark, instead of offering the 55% discount, they'll try to just make it a lower discount. They'll just sell the book for $4.99. Guys, that doesn't work. You have to sell your book the same price across the board, or else you will make enemies of your book retailers. They don't like when someone else is getting a book cheaper than them. It's favoritism. Same thing if you have a website and your book is up on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and iBooks, you should have links to all of those places. IndieBound, you should have links to. It's just a nod of respect and courtesy. So I would not recommend having different pricing for your book on different platforms. And Terry's asking now, how do we find bloggers and blog sites for a blog tour of your book? Well, you can do a couple things. You can search the genre of your book and blog tour on Google, or you can just do blog tours. The book designer Joel Friedman had a post, gosh, it was a couple years ago, but it was great. It had a list of blog tours on there and bloggers. We have again used Espresso blog tours. It starts with an X, not an E. It's XPRESSO blogtours.com. YA Bound book tours. Right now, I believe we're working with childrensbookreviews.com for children's books. So it really depends on your genre and what you want to do, but there's quite a few out there. If you Google, I'm sure you will find easily 5 to 20 blog tours where they do all the work for you. You can also write to bloggers and say, I would like to do a blog tour. I am promoting my book the week of August 15th. Would you be interested? And you go to all the bloggers. That can be time consuming though, and if they don't have a relationship with you, it can take months for a response. Whereas if you sign up for a blog tour, all of these guys talk to each other. They all have a common interest. It's like authors talk to authors. Well, bloggers talk to bloggers. And so they actually sign up and they say, yeah, I need content for my website. I'm always looking for blogs. So they will sign up for these blog tours, and then they get emailed every time that someone signs up, and they have the opportunity to blog about it. So blog tours are, in my opinion, well worth the investment. It's so much easier than trying to do it yourself. It often results in reviews on your sales pages like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Goodreads as well, because if people are doing a review for their blog, often they'll do it for other sites. And it also draws in new readers. So definitely a great investment, something I recommend, especially if you have any type of fictional work. If you're doing nonfiction, you have to be a little bit more careful in making sure that you find your niche. You don't want to go to, let's say, YA bound book tours, which is all young adult books. You don't want to take your divorce book there. It's probably not going to hit the right market. Even if they agree and they do a blog tour and they set it up and you pay for it, and even if those bloggers post about it, you're probably not hitting your target market. So of course, use some common sense and check it and vet it before you sign up. All right, guys, it is 10:26 right now. I've got 5 more minutes. So if you have any more questions, drop them in the Q&A and we'll get those answered for you. Again, my name is Keri Barnum. I'm the marketing director for New Shelves Books, and I'm filling in for Amy while she's traveling. Today, she's going to a conference in West Virginia. She will be back next week to answer all your questions. All right, guys, I think we're, oh, one more. Oh, 3 more. Sorry, I think I rushed you guys. All right, let's see. I understand that you can't have different prices on different platforms, but is it okay to sell your book cheaper on your website? That is one place that you can maybe get away from with it if you do it a little bit cheaper because it's direct. It's not coming from another retailer. So yes, I think you can get away with that. Uh, but if Amazon sees it and they notice, they could get upset and email you and say, hey, unless you fix this and make it the same price, we're going to take your book down. That's within their rights. So I think you can do it. If you get, if you get knocked and you get a naughty letter, then you fix it. But you can also offer, maybe it's the same price, but you offer it with goodies. You offer it with extras. You offer a signed copy, you offer a study guide to go with it, bookmarks, all sorts of fun things. So there's different ways that you can work around that. Okay, what are we talking about on the price cost as we were talking about for a science fiction book blog tour? Well, science fiction, again, that falls under fiction, and I've seen those for as cheap as $75 and as much as 1,000. It depends on what you're doing. Usually it goes by how many blogs you're asking to be signed up for your book. So it can vary widely, but I would expect to pay somewhere in the $200 to $400 range for a nice size book tour that would fit most most anyone's needs. And that's just for blog tours. It's not for advertising and things like that. Some of them will do add-ons where they'll advertise. And to see if advertising is worth it, guys, you have to check out their websites. Are they getting a lot of traffic? Is their website well designed? Do you think that the advertising they have up draws people in? Are you tempted to click on it? If not, then it's probably not worth it, and I'd stick with the blog tour. All right. I think we're good for today. Again, Keri Barnum from New Shelves Book. I am the marketing director filling in for Amy Collins. She will be back next week and we will answer all of your questions. If you have any questions in the meantime, please feel free to email them in. You can send them to info, at newshelves.com, and we will hit those next Friday. Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.